marginal utility. So you'll be given something like quantity and total utility, and you're going to have to calculate marginal. So for the first one, the marginal utility, or the utility you get from the first activity is 40. For the 0 one, it's 0. For the first quantity, you get utility of 40. Because the increase from 0 quantity to the first quantity is 40. The increase from 1 quantity to 2 quantity is also 40. Because 80 minus 40 is 40, right? So the marginal utility from second quantity to third quantity is, before, for the second quantity it was 80, for the third quantity it's 90, so it's 10 additional utility you're receiving from the third quantity. From third to fourth, it is 5 additional utility received for the fourth quantity. From fourth to fifth, there is
3.
-3 utility received from the fifth quantity. How much does the person consumes? So where is he going to stop? For the first quantity, he's getting 40 utility, meaning 40 satisfaction. Second, he's getting 40 satisfaction. The third, he's getting 10. The fourth, he's getting fifth. The fourth, he's getting 5 satisfactions. Fifth one, he's getting -3. He's going to stop before it gets negative, right? So he's going to do up to 4 activities or consume 4 quantities. After that, utility is negative. Now notice something, that as he consumes more quantities, his utility is going down, is decreasing. That is the law of diminishing marginal utility. Law of diminishing marginal utility. Again, utility means satisfaction. Measure of satisfaction. The law of diminishing marginal utility states that as you consume more of something, the satisfaction you get from it will continue to decline. And eventually it will actually become negative. And if you think about it, it's very true, because the first pizza you eat, you get a lot of happiness, a lot of satisfaction from it. The second one you eat, you get a lot of happiness, satisfaction. Third one, it decreases. Your satisfaction, your happiness decreases. Fourth one, it will decrease even more. Fifth one, you would not want to eat anymore, right? So that's the law of diminishing marginal utility, that as you consume something more and more, the satisfaction you get from it starts to decrease slowly and eventually declines. So law of diminishing marginal utility says, as someone consumes more of something, eventually the additional satisfaction eventually the additional satisfaction or the marginal utility or the marginal utility received will decline. This is like keeping everything else constant. If somebody is an alcoholic, you know, it doesn't matter how much alcohol he consumes, it's not gonna, he's addicted to it, so that's something different. That's not keeping, that's a factor that's, like this is, you know, everything else is constant. You know, we're assuming that everything else is normal. So in normal human behavior, as humans consume more and more of something, their additional utility or their additional satisfaction they get from consuming that declines, starts to decline. Like I watched Office, it's my favorite show. I watched it 3 times, start to finish. And like, after the 3rd time I needed a break. I was like,
I still need to finish it.
yeah. So that's diminishing marginal utility, right? As you consume more and more, it starts to, even though it's so good. Now, the opposite of true, the opposite of this is also true. Law of diminishing marginal disutility. You keep repeating it, and the disutility will decrease, and you'll start liking it. Keep repeating it, and this utility will decrease, and you will start liking it. Keeping other things constant, assuming that everything is normal.
Question? Could you like explain that again?
So as you keep, so this is law of diminishing marginal utility. As you consume more of something, the satisfaction starts to decline, the utility starts to decline as you consume more and more. This is saying that the opposite is also true. That if you don't like something at all, and if you keep doing more of it, you'll start to like it after like some time.
So what is the last one? You will st-
Huh?
the
You will start liking it. Okay, so people want to maximize utility. Want to maximize utility. People want to get the maximum satisfaction from everything they do, right? US household consumes an average of 19 cans of soda per week. Cans of soda per week. And 2 cans of soup per week. if we say that cost of soup and soda is the same, meaning price of soda is about equal to price of soup, what can we say about this information that's given to us? So just a simple information is given to you that US households on average consume 19 cans of soda per week and 2 cans of soup per week. We're saying that the prices are almost the same. Just by this information, what do we know based on the law of diminishing marginal utility?
They get more satisfaction from consuming soda rather than soup.
What?
They get more satisfaction from consuming soda rather than soup.
They get more satisfaction from consuming soda than soup. Yeah, that's one thing. Also, why don't they
Soda is-
consume what?
Soda is necessary.
What?
Soda is kind of necessary. Soup is necessary.
Yeah. What about the 20th can of soda? Or why don't they consume 20th or 21st or 22nd can of soda?
Yeah.
What? Who's? Yeah. The utility is starting to decrease after the 19th can. On average, for US households, after the 19th can, the utility is starting to decrease. That's why they're consuming 19 cans. So just by this information, we can say that marginal utility of third can of soup versus marginal utility of 19 can of soda the third can of soup, which they don't buy, the American families don't buy, and the 19th can of soda they do buy. The additional marginal utility with 19th can of soda is greater than the third can of soup. So like Olivia said, that they're consuming 19th can of sodas and 2 cans of soup is because they're getting more satisfaction from sodas, that's why they're consuming more of it, right? The additional marginal utility received with 19th can of soda that they do consume is greater than the third can of soup. Or you can also say that marginal utility of second can of soup is greater than marginal utility of 20th can of soda. The 20th can of soda that we are not consuming and the second can of soup we are consuming. So the second can of soup we are consuming, the marginal utility of that is greater than the 20th can of soda that we are not consuming. Right? We can also say that. So these are all the things that we can say from just this information that's given to us.
What's that say on the bottom? Pea soda, and then there's a simple.
Price soda is equal to or almost equal to price soup. We're assuming right now. We're not considering the prices. In the next slide or next, I'm gonna add the prices in, and we'll see that if the price increases, the utility will decrease. But right now, we're not considering prices. So in the quiz, I'll have something like this, right? And you'll have to think about it this way, right? What they are consuming and what they're not consuming. And the utilities of what they are consuming, the second can of soup is greater than the 20th can of soda they're not consuming. Or that the third can of soup which they don't buy and the 19th can of soda they do buy, the 19th can of soda gives them more satisfaction than the third can of soup. So utility is simply a measure of satisfaction.